You ever get kicked out of the most brutal sport on earth for being too brutal, too unhinged, or just plain stupid? Yeah, welcome to the UFC blacklist. Today, we're counting down 10 fighters who got banned from the UFC, and not just a slap on the wrist suspension. We're talking full-on exile, ghosted, never seen again inside that octagon. Some were legends, some were nobodies, but every single one, they crossed a line Dana White couldn't ignore. Let's get into it. Number 10. Jason High, the gentle push that got him booted. Picture this. Jason High just lost to Rafael dos Anjos at UFC Fight Night 42. He's frustrated, bleeding, tired, and in the heat of the moment, he shoves referee Kevin Mulhall. It wasn't a KO punch. It wasn't even that aggressive. But in the UFC, touching a ref is like slapping the Pope. You just don't do it. Dana White's reaction? Brutal and immediate. You don't ever put your hands on a referee, he told media after the event. He's done. No suspension, no fine, just gone. High apologized on Twitter and later told MMA Fighting, "I've been fighting for 12 years. That's not who I am. I lost my cool for 2 seconds. That's all it took." But Dana wasn't having it. Even years later, High never got another call back. But if that sounds harsh, just wait till you hear about a fighter who couldn't keep his hands to himself, even outside the cage. Number 9. Thiago Silva, the fighter who turned his life into GTA. Thiago Silva had fists of stone and a temper like a volcano. In 2014, he was arrested after allegedly storming into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym in Florida with a gun, threatening his estranged wife and her trainer. It was straight-up insanity. According to the arrest report, he told the instructor, "I'm going to kill you." The UFC wasted no time. Dana White said in a statement, "This guy will never fight in the UFC again." But then, in classic Florida man twist, the charges were dropped due to inconsistent testimony, and the UFC actually re-signed him for about 30 seconds. More allegations surfaced, including troubling behavior and legal red flags, and Dana was done. "He was cut when we thought he was guilty," Dana said. "And now that he's not guilty, he still won't fight here. I don't want him back." But at least Thiago made it to the UFC. The next guy, he never even got the chance to rise before falling. Number 8. Ruslan Magomedov, the USADA Nightmare. Ruslan Magomedov was a rising Russian heavyweight. He went 3-0 in the UFC and looked promising. Then he failed a drug test. Then another, then a third. USADA hit him with a 6-year suspension in 2019. That's basically a career death sentence, especially at heavyweight. The violations included evading sample collection, failing to provide whereabouts, and testing positive for multiple banned substances. The UFC didn't even wait. They quietly released him. He never made a comeback. No media tour, no apology video, just silence. The man vanished like a ghost in a snowstorm. But at least Ruslan was just cheating science. The next guy tried to fight karma, and karma wasn't pulling any punches. Number 7. Paul Daly, the punch heard round the locker room. Paul Semtex Daly had one of the most devastating left hooks in MMA, but he used it when he really shouldn't have. At UFC 113, after a grueling loss to Josh Koscheck, a fight that had more trash talk than punches, Daly walked over and sucker punched Koscheck after the final bell.
The guys!
Dana White was furious. In the post-fight press conference, he said, "He's done. I don't care if he's the best 170-pounder in the world. He'll never fight in the UFC again." Daly later said he acted emotionally.
Let's say cause they can't, as they can see more environed.
"I'm not a thug. It was frustration," he told Fighters Only. "I regret it. I messed up." But Dana doesn't do forgiveness. Daly went on to fight in Bellator and other promotions, but that UFC cage, forever closed. Paul Daly and Common Moxex. Now let's move from a legend's downfall to a guy who was just dangerous by design. Sucker punches are bad, but what about pre-fight sucker punches in a bar? Number 6. BJ Penn, the legend who couldn't let go. BJ Penn is MMA royalty, the prodigy, the first American to win a gold medal at the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship. But his fall from grace? Painful to watch.
On the skies is whenever the wrestling's guys to point to the extra fight. Brother Marm and 1,002 bros to the offer.
BJ stuck around way too long. He lost 7 straight fights to end his UFC career. But it wasn't just the losing streak, it was the bar fights, the TMZ videos, the DUI arrests. The UFC finally cut ties in 2019 after footage surfaced of Penn getting KO'd outside a bar in Hawaii. Dana White told reporters, "He won't fight in the UFC again. I've seen enough."
BJ's legacy will always be there, but the end of his UFC career wasn't just sad, it was a warning sign. A legend lost in his own chaos.
BJ's legacy wasn't anything that the real side was legis as well as not isn't. Now let's move from a legend's downfall to a guy who was just dangerous by design. Number 5. Rousimar Palhares, the submission psycho. Palhares was built like a tank and fought like a predator, but his signature move, the heel hook, came with a problem. He wouldn't let go. At UFC Fight Night 29, Palhares submitted Mike Pierce, then held on even after the ref tried to pry him off. Pierce screamed in pain. It wasn't the first time either. Dana White was done.
This is the second time he did that. He's been warned, Dana said. That's it, he's done.
Palhares was cut immediately. Even WSOF, he did it again. Jake Shields called him a dirty fighter and accused him of eye gouging and cranking submissions too long. It became a pattern. No one wanted to fight the guy. He turned tap-outs into career-ending moments. Transition. But what if you didn't hurt your opponent? You just ran from responsibility. Number 4. Wanderlei Silva, the drug test dodger, the axe murderer, Pride legend. But in 2014, things went downhill fast. When NSAC showed up for a random drug test, Wanderlei Silva literally fled the gym. Just dipped. No samples, no explanations. He later said he ran because he was taking diuretics, not steroids, but it didn't matter. NSAC banned him for life, later overturned, and the UFC released him. Silva went on a public tirade accusing the UFC of corruption. They're modern-day slave drivers, he ranted in a now-deleted YouTube video. Dana, silent. No beef, no response, just business. Wanderlei never fought in the UFC again. Transition. But if you think beefing with commissions is risky, try suing your own boss. Number 3. Mark Hunt, the UFC sued me, era. Mark Hunt was the people's champ. Walk-off KOs, no nonsense. But when Brock Lesnar tested positive after UFC 200 and the UFC let him fight anyway, Hunt lost it. He filed a lawsuit against the UFC, Dana White, and Brock Lesnar, accused them of racketeering, fraud, and endangering fighter safety. He said, they're allowing fighters to use steroids so they can make money. It's corruption. Dana fired back with silence. The lawsuit dragged on for years. Hunt lost in court, but the relationship shattered. Mark never got another UFC fight. He told Ariel Helwani, they treated me like garbage. I'll never fight for them again. Unofficial ban, but make no mistake, the bridge was burned to ashes. Transition. From lawsuits to lunacy, let's talk about MMA's most unpredictable maniac. Number 2. Mike Perry. Platinum madness. Mike Perry is wild. There's no other word. He fought cornerless, literally showed up with just his girlfriend as his cornerman. He dropped racial slurs on streams, fought bouncers at bars, headbutted opponents at weigh-ins. One incident, he KO'd an old man during a drunken bar fight in Texas.
This is the bad Palace. Get in the end. You're in the end. You swatched the guy.
The video is rough. Dana tried to manage it. Quote, he needs help, Dana said. We're trying to get him the help he needs. But eventually the UFC had enough. Perry was let go quietly in 2021 and signed with Bare Knuckle FC, where his chaos became a feature, not a bug. He's thriving there. But in the UFC, his brand of crazy didn't last. And now, the number 1 spot. The GOAT of controversy. The guy who should have been banned, but wasn't. Number 1. Jon Jones. The almost ban that still haunts us. Let's run the list. DUI arrest, hit and run on a pregnant woman, multiple PED suspensions, stripped titles, cocaine, domestic violence arrest. If there's a UFC bingo card for chaos, Jon Jones has filled it out twice. He wasn't just a bad boy. He was the Michael Jordan of self-sabotage. In 2015, after the hit-and-run incident where he smashed into a pregnant woman's car and fled the scene, Dana White stripped him of the light heavyweight title. He's not reliable, Dana told ESPN. This is the first time we've ever done this.
This is the first time we've ever done this.
Then came the infamous pulsing picogram scandal. A trace amount of a banned substance kept showing up in his system. It caused UFC 232 to be moved from Nevada to California just days before the fight. Fans were outraged. Dana took the heat. But the UFC let Jon fight anyway. USADA slapped him with a 15-month suspension. Then another violation in 2017. At one point, Daniel Cormier said, every time he fights, we're just waiting to see if he's clean or not. And still, Jones came back. Again and again, cocaine admissions, failed polygraphs, bizarre interviews, nothing stuck for long. Then came the heavyweight return. In 2023, he faced Ciryl Gane, a dangerous striker. Jon submitted him in under 3 minutes and reclaimed the throne like nothing happened. Dana summed it up perfectly. He could have been the LeBron of MMA, but he kept shooting himself in the foot.
I think, yeah, that's why they front over.
So no, Jon Jones was never officially banned. But if there's a UFC blacklist etched in stone, his name is carved right at the top, in permanent ink. Dana said it best. He could have been the LeBron of MMA, but he kept shooting himself in the foot. So there you have it, 10 fighters who were banned, booted, or pushed so far out the door they couldn't find their way back. Some were reckless, some were tragic, some were just straight up dumb. But all of them, part of UFC history. Which one shocked you the most? Who do you think deserved a second chance? Drop it in the comments. And if you want a part 2, believe me, we've got plenty more names. Hit that like, hit subscribe,